everything. Welcome to my channel. I am Manaka and this is my channel, Manaka. Hey. If you follow me on socials, then you'll know I'm not in the greatest of places. However, it doesn't help to be stressed. It doesn't help to bury a hole and like sit in it. Unless you're doing sand cleansing, sea sand cleansing, or like heat cleansing. I forget what it's called, but I'll find it. So today I wanted to talk about which one do I want to talk about? One of my friendships. So I've had a lot of friends. I'm not going to name names. I'm not even going to call them anything because I don't particularly want it to link to anyone who ever sees my videos. So human design generator story time. Here we go. So this friend I had known for a while. I don't know how I'm going to tell the story without exposing who it is. We're going to try figure it out. So cool. We were friends. Like the more I think about it, or after my 30s, you never really know how close you were to somebody, you know. But there are certain things that do happen in relationships that we tend to ignore, especially the things where, say, your higher self or the universe or even your ancestors are trying to clear out. So remember, every little thing and every little person is there for a reason and for a season. Some can be there for your entire life and you can love them for your entire life, but like I said in my previous story time, there is always going to be an ebb and flow even in our relationships. Okay, so mind you, I've been close to, and I think that's just how my friendship circles have been since I was a kid. From the age of 2 all the way, bro. I've had friendships that were like family, and their families knew my family, and it was that kind of friendship. Like I've always had that kind of experience. So I would say with this particular friend, the way we began our friendship, I would say that yes, it was a sacral yes. I was excited to chill with her. I was excited to get to know her. I was excited to do what we were going to do in that phase of life. And I fully believe in things like I said before, I believe in things like somebody being in your life for a reason, for a season, you know, all those different things. So yeah, when I say close to families, like staying at their homes or holidays with them, you know, that's the closeness that I'm talking about. There's people who can meet people's parents, but there's also people who can travel, I guess, with those families. So I'm the kind of person, I'm pretty sure I've said this multiple times, and I think, like I said before, because I have the angle cross of cycles, I think that the beginning of that certain friendship was started correctly. It's just when it was time to end it, I never ended it. I was always such a people pleaser. I always wanted the best for the people that I love. I still do. However, now I have better boundaries. So in terms of friendships, And I think I've said this before on Twitter, friendships or friendship breakups are just as hard, if not harder, than a partner friendship, because of how much you share, you know. Sometimes with your partner you might not be friends, but if you are friends it becomes a little bit more difficult to let go, right? So yes, I'm the kind of person who understands the need to check in on people, because the experiences that we have aren't always going to be pleasant. So whether I see you every day, whether I see you once in a while, whether I don't get a chance to see you at all, I will always find a way to check in. So yeah, my thing is, I think that's where my boundaries started coming up, and this is where the cycle was starting to close itself off. When I started noticing the people in my life who had too many friends or had too many best friends, because yes, you can know a lot of people, but you need to understand yourself as well. You need to understand the energies that are happening. You need to understand whether you are capable of giving that energy back. You understand? So like I said in the other video, it's 100%. Are you willing to give in what I'm giving in? And am I willing to give in what you're giving in, right? Majority of the time I was giving more than I was getting. Anyway, and yes, I believe that had to do with the fact that the person had too many friends. I did not know how to compartmentalize those relationships. It's one of the reasons why I also maybe every 6 months I write down the people that I care about in my life, and I put them into 3 groups. First group will be the ones that I will check in on more often than not. Second group will be the ones that I might check in on, but I probably still will check in on, just less than the ones in the first group. And then the third group, there's less effort, but if I think of you, like it's like the depth of that relationship. So the groups ought to show the depth of those relationships. And for me, I am a kitchen's environment, and kitchen's environment means that I need to be in spaces where people congregate. I need to be in spaces where there's creativity and fun, you know. So if I get to a space that even on, say, social media or WhatsApp or whatever, we don't have the capacity to come together to create something, to I guess build each other up without entirely how can I say it? So to build each other up without, goodness, I lost my train of thought. Oh yes, we need to build each other up without, I guess, complaining. So if the relationship becomes a thing where, yes, you check in, but that 2 seconds of you checking in might amount to, say, 2 hours of you complaining every single time, instead of you checking in once in a while, you checking in, and instead of saying the same complaint, but to check in and see where I'm at. And those are the kinds of things I withdraw. Like I said, my heart is on my sleeve. I will withdraw. So I will always check in on you, and then there will be a point when I start withdrawing, but I'll still check in on you just to make sure that you are fine, make sure you are okay, right? Cool. So there was an experience where my child, right? I was pregnant during COVID, 2020. I found out in March, and I gave birth in November. I almost forgot. I gave birth in November, right? During my pregnancy, they were the friends And mind you, I had quite a few friends at that time. So there were the friends who did visit, and I appreciate them for that. And then there were the friends who did not. There were the friends who basically needed to be told or asked by my partner why they weren't coming to visit if they were such a close friend to me. That is the second thing that shows that, hey, and I didn't listen to that. Cool. Then that same friend came to visit, and it was great. Sharp. Then I think maybe 2 months later, I got this beautiful baby shower, and I am so grateful for it because it made me feel so loved. And I've said this a lot to a lot of people, especially the ones who have had kids and are a bit more mature in mind and thinking. There is a shift, and I get why some of my friends I wasn't friends with them anymore, or as close as I was anymore, because they had kids much earlier than me, right? And that does shift your priorities in a way, or in a sense. And I get it now, but I am kind of sad that, you know, we claim to be friends with people, but we are unable to we claim to be friends with people, but we are unable to reel them into what it is that we are going through, right? And that's probably where I'm at right now, because it's very difficult for me to reel people in and let them in and tell them that, listen, I'm really not doing well. But I do have the people who notice it from get-go and are able to ask me, and, you know, I appreciate that. So cool. The thing that I was saying is that when you're pregnant, you have shifted from who you used to be to somebody new. And there's people who like to hold on to who they were, and that never really works out. Then after giving birth, what happens is now you have to look after a whole human being. That is like you are ripped out of the timeline that you were in. You are ripped right out. And that's what I've always tried to do. When I was pregnant, when I gave birth, I did my best to be somebody who was there for other people so they could be there for me. And I do have the few people who stayed being there for me, and I appreciate them so much, because as soon as you give birth, you are probably going to lose your shit. Like, it's one time where it's so difficult to adjust, and I think that's why people have postpartum depression, because it's just the one time where if you don't have anyone around you, it's difficult. But lucky for me, I had my mom, I had the other mamas who had given birth around the same time as me, or the same year, and I had my partner, so I was lucky for that. So it's understandable. Yes, it's COVID, but I think some people have a tendency to make the decisions for you, and I think that's where the problem comes in, because there's a lot of people who assume things instead of asking. Like, I feel like if I wanted to see you, I would ask you, right? If I feel like we're close enough, I would ask you, like, dude, can I come see you? You know, are you comfortable enough with me seeing your kid, or can I see you alone? You know, those kinds of things. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. Anyway, cool. After my baby was 3 months, I really hoped that this particular friend would come see me, but she did not, which was heartbreaking. But I was just like, you know what, it's fine, because there was something that she was going through that I don't want to talk about, and I decided to understand it. But that was the other straw. So there was 3 straws that right now that I was still just holding tightly onto, not closing that cycle, you know. And obviously your gut knows. Cool. A few months later, the same friend has an event, right? Even after hardly checking in, while I'm doing the checking in, right? And something I'm going to say, I feel like a lot of people, especially people who believe they are victims, have this weird tendency to say that, oh no, if you don't check on me, I'm not going to check on you. Nigga, it works both ways. Stop being an idiot. Anyway, put yourself in the other person's shoes, and I think I've done that way too fucking much. Then, that's probably where I was supposed to start writing my list of friendships. That was probably where I was supposed to start compartmentalizing people so that it could hurt less. And I mean, that's the thing about reality in life and being an adult, is if you allow yourself to live, you will experience every single one of the emotions, from hurt to pain to anger, all the way up to joy. And that's okay. Like, I don't regret opening myself up to anybody. I don't even regret how the friendship ended. I'm talking about certain things that you need to look out for, right? And in my case, because of my Incarnation cross, I was supposed to look out for the cycle and see where the cycle was feeling like it was supposed to stop. And another thing, so I don't know if you look at your chart, if you've already looked at your chart, I have put it down below where you can create your chart and follow me through my stories or through the human design course that I put up, I think a month or 2 ago. But you'll see there's a place called definition, and I have a split definition, and that basically means that majority of the time when I need to make a decision, I might need somebody else to bridge that gap for me, so I can feel the alignment of my gut to action, or my gut to thought, or my gut to whatever it is, right? So the gut is a response to the energy or the event or the people that I am trying to experience, right? So because I have a split definition, I think that's where I failed, because obviously your sacral, your gut is always there, right? The split definition, you need somebody to be able to tell you, you know, and also I'm a 5-1 heretic investigator. The 5 is the one who is basically the 5 is the one. So the 5 line is the one who is basically I guess looked at like the savior. The 5 is the one who could be seen in a light that only the people that are looking at them will see. So each person might see me as a different thing, and if I don't achieve what it is that they want me to be, then I fail their narrative, if that makes sense. So that also makes sense. So anyway, I was getting frustrated, so my not self theme was really, really not working out there. And then a few months later, the same friend had an event, and that event I tried so badly to get there, because I think it was a day before or 2 days before, my son got sick, and I'm that kind of mother. I want to be near my child when he's ill. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to make up time, like maybe an hour, to be at this friend's event, because I knew that it was important, right? And because I do not have a car yet, I had to depend on other people. That's where my other fault was, because in order for all of it to work out, I should have just depended on myself. But anyway, it's okay. So I depended on other people and they fell through, and for good reason, which was fine. However, the issue was my child was still sick. So trying to get money from, I guess, nappies and food for my child and putting it into an Uber to go halfway across the city to an event where there should have been other people to support who don't have this specific responsibility, it was not going to work out. Anyway, cool. So I decided to stay with my kid, and then I sent a message to another friend to tell the same friend who I'm talking about in the story that I wasn't going to be able to go because my child was sick, right? The friend that I told literally said to me, why don't you tell her yourself? And I'm just like, okay, straw number one for that one, eh? Cool. But for this one particularly, I was like, okay, cool, let me text her. Send her a text. I'm like, cool, I won't be able to make it, my son isn't feeling well, I hope you have an amazing time, blah 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 blah. In the text she seemed fine, right? The next thing I know, end of the day, I am blocked. So literally it's like, okay, cool, I understand that you're making your own boundaries, but how are you trying to say that somebody else's child is more important than your event? I mean, no, so your event is more important than somebody else's child. So cool, I was like, you know what, let me just understand, because I knew what she was going through. Sharp. I understand, as usual, because I'm Leah, right? And that was probably where I was supposed to leave it, because that was the energy of an ending coming into my aura. So remember, generator has a enveloping aura, and that energy of the cycle ending was coming into my aura, and all I needed to do was say, okay, cool, right? However, I didn't want this person to think that I didn't give a shit, right? So literally the next day, I ensured that I bought a gift to her, right? She wasn't there that day, so I gave it to her brother. Cool. I'm like, that's the best I can do, because it's not like I can just disappear, you know? It's not like I can just be in two places at once. Anyway, then found that I was unblocked, like maybe 2 days later. I found out that I was unblocked like maybe 2-3 days later, and because I knew and I had experienced what she was going through, I texted her to say, I am thinking of you, right? And I mean, obviously I'm already spiritual, I'm already sending messages of love and light, and sometimes sending messages of saying, oh, by the way, I had a dream about you, and this and this and this happened, right? Cool. Then I got blocked again. Oh God, my life is a movie. I'm definitely writing a book. So anybody who's been in my life, watch this space. So literally I got blocked again, and I'm like, okay. I didn't realize that checking in on somebody would cause somebody to say that I am nosy. And mind you, this is somebody who considered me a best friend, right? Who I considered a best friend. However, when it came down to it, when it came down to like the nitty-gritty stuff, the things that are really, really important, that's when I was called nosy. So that's where I take the 5 of my profile, that this girl probably had a certain view of who she thought I was, or who she thought I was supposed to be. And I don't think that view had anything to do with my son. I don't think that view had anything to do with the life that I had built, the life that I had to make sure I protected, because this is a whole human that I have to make sure is good and healthy and happy, right? I don't think she noticed that. And I think that it does make sense, because the first straw, you don't check in. Second straw, my partner has to ask you to come over for you to actually come over. Third straw, you can't even come see my child when he's 3 months and ready to see people. And then fourth is to say I am nosy when I'm checking in on you with something that I have already experienced. So yes, from the things that I've experienced in my life, I will never say that the people were wrong, especially when I don't have the other side of the story. I just choose to express and share what it is that I have experienced. And it helps me to also figure out who I am. So I always need to make sure that I can see what is coming into my aura. Now, an enveloping aura is basically everything. Right now, the sun is really bright over there. That's coming into my aura. Somebody might text me, or I might see a status, or I might hear a song, or there's just random. It's not random. It's not random. Everything happens for a reason. So everything can be something for you to respond to. And I just took forever to realize that the cycle was closing. And I have nothing against any of the people that I'm going to speak about in my generator story time. I just wanted to express the moments that I believe I could have done better. So for beginners to human design, get your chart on the link below. Find out what your type or your aura is. Find out your strategy. Find your authority. Those are the three that are extremely important, because these are the three that will guide you through life. For generators, even manifesting generators, ours is to respond. Manifesting generators is to respond and then inform. But for generators, it's to respond. And then I believe the two authorities is sacral and emotional for generators. Yeah. But then if you want to go a little bit deeper, look at the other things that I've discussed in my previous videos, like the arrows. Look at your definition. If it's split, you understand that you need to have a way to communicate with other people to get information back, so you can get an actual proper aligned answer. Finding out your profile is also really good. Your incarnation cross. And for this story particularly, I would say for your environment and I guess your signature true self theme and your not self theme. That would be what this particular story was about. Yeah. So that's all I wanted to say. I hope the story came out normally and there was no I hope it wasn't too weird. But yeah, that is all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching.